This is Professor Michael Chapman. I'm one of the most experienced IVF doctors in Australia. I believe that an important part that I can contribute is to educate patients in relation to fertility, infertility, and all that involves. These series of podcasts help to educate you. I hope they are helpful to you. If you wish to know more, however, I'm more than happy to have you contact me via email, which is profmchapman@gmail.com, or make an appointment to see me on 9138 4222.
How many egg retrievals would you say I would need to go through at 40 to get a successful pregnancy? How much is it to freeze my eggs? I think you may have touched on some of these. What is the latest age I should consider IVF? And what about a fibroid? What are my odds of getting pregnant? That's the questions from Didi, and then I have a question from Sally.
It sounds like a full consultation, and I'm happy to talk to you in detail. We'll be posting my number to make an appointment. There's multiple things in that. So let's start with how many cycles. Well, it really depends on ovarian reserve, and that is actually determined by two parameters that we can look at. One is something called anti-Müllerian hormone, AMH. If you're 40, the average AMH is around about 4 or 5. That means on average we'll get 4 or 5 eggs. It may be as low as 1, or it may be, if you're lucky, it may be as high as 10, rarely above that. In a 40-year-old, what we know, and this is based on very large data banks out of the US, that to get a 70% chance of a baby freezing your eggs, you'll need more than 50 eggs to achieve that, because the quality of those eggs at 40 is so much less than when you were 30. So if you've got an AMH of 4 or 5 and we do one cycle and get 5 eggs, the odds of a pregnancy are probably only 25%. If we do 2 cycles and we get 10 eggs, it probably goes up to nearly 40%, and so on. So you may end up needing to do 3 or 4 cycles to give yourself a really good chance of a baby. In relation to IVF, I certainly treat patients at 45, but they've got to realise that the chances of a pregnancy at 45 with IVF is somewhere between 1 and 4%. And above 45, even less. I do have patients who come to me at those sort of ages, and they, whatever I say, however low I say the chances are, they want to give it a go, because what they want ultimately is to know that they tried everything possible to have a baby, even though it's that late in life. And I'm comfortable treating patients up to 50, but they've got to realise that the chances are low. In relation to the fibroid, it depends where it is, how big it is, whether it's impinging on the cavity of the uterus. The vast majority have no impact on fertility at all. It's only when they are pushing deep into the cavity of the uterus that they become something that we're concerned about.
Prof, we have questions from Sally. She says, what can I take to improve my egg quality, and can you get pregnant without tubes?
Well, yes, you can get pregnant without tubes by using IVF. You don't need tubes for IVF. That's actually what it was designed for 40 years ago, or for 50 years ago. The first cycles were done on women who had lost their tubes or had infections of the tubes that made them block. So, yes, you can have a pregnancy without tubes. What was the other part of the question?
The other part was, how do I improve egg quality?
If you knew that and we found a formula, we'd make $1 billion tomorrow. No one has found anything that improves egg quality other than possibly all the lifestyle things. You shouldn't be drinking alcohol in more than a glass or 2 a week. I still don't say ban it altogether, because I'm a man of moderation. You shouldn't drink more than 1 or 2 coffees a day. You should try and be an ideal weight, lose weight if you're overweight. Avoid other recreational drugs. They have an impact on egg quality. Smoking being the worst of all. So if you've been a smoker for a long time, we can't reverse it, but possibly maintain the current level of egg quality. There's research going on all around the world to try and work out ways of improving that quality, but at the moment there's nothing that we can offer.
On the topic of egg quality, Prof, Jen asks if CoQ10 and DHEA really help egg quality.
Well, if there was anything that might help, they're probably the ones that I use most commonly, because first of all, they do no harm. And secondly, for the DHEA, there is some evidence from randomized controlled trials, small ones, that suggest it may play a role in improving egg numbers at least. Whether it changes quality is debatable. In relation to CoQ10, there's studies out of Canada on aged mice that have shown quite clearly that if you give CoQ10 in big enough amounts, old female mice produce eggs in better numbers and better quality than as good as young mice. However, that group also did a randomized controlled trial in humans, and it made no difference whatsoever. But I certainly prescribe it on the basis of the animal work. No harm, may do some good.
And don't forget that you can access all the previous episodes by going to our website www.theivfjourney.com and select IVF Journey podcast from the navigation menu.